John, how much do you think this has become a little bit of a, I don't want to say it's a must win because it's absolutely not a must win, but the Cowboys are creeping with 3 straight wins now in that NFC East. I mean, if the hypothetical was the Eagles lost a game today, they would be 8-4 with only one less loss than the Cowboys, who I know are sitting at 6-5-1. But that tie could, interestingly enough, it could hurt them or it could help them depending on how the records fall. We'll shift to that Eagle game right now. It's a Black Friday, everybody. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Don't forget to hit that like button this morning. Drop your comments down below. Game coming up 3 p.m. Eastern today. I know we don't normally get an Eagles game on a Friday, so it feels a little goofy, but we do have one.
That third straight year for Vic Fangio playing on a Friday. We know
right.
that.
He didn't even realize it, but good stuff there. John, the game today, both teams 8-3. Bears offense is 6th overall, 2nd in the rush game, 12th in the pass game, 8th in scoring. Their defense, a shoddy defense at best. Overall, they're 27th. In the rush game, they're 28th. The Saquon get going. In the pass game, they're 21st. Scoring, they are 27th. Then you flip over to the Eagles. You got the Eagles offense is 24th overall, 21st in the rush game, 23rd in the pass game, 17th in the scoring. And Eagles defense is 20th overall, 19th in the rush game, 22nd in the pass game, 8th in the scoring. And then this is interesting, John. Turnover differential, the Bears are plus 16 right now. Eagles are plus 6. What do you make, John? Just your macro thought on this game. Eagles, Bears, the battle of 2 8-3 teams in Philly today.
Well, I think we should start with the weather. It is cold. It is, let's see, I'm looking it up right now. It is 32. It feels like 23 because the wind gusts are up to 30. It's supposed to get windier as the day goes on.
So we're going to have another wind game here.
Yep. I say this because of what happened with Green Bay and Detroit. I don't think this is going to be the day to get the passing game going. But we'll see how that shakes out. So you mentioned the turnovers. That to me is what it's about because the Bears defense, now they're getting Jalen Johnson back today. They're getting Kyler Gordon back today. To me, Johnson, he's one of the best 5 corners in football. He's a tremendous player, but hasn't played all season. Either is Gordon for the most part. So while they're back, there's going to be some rust, so I'm not concerned about that. The big issue on defense for the Bears, amongst the fact that they're just not tremendous, except they take the ball away. They're down both their starting linebackers. Our old friend T.J. Edwards, who's still playing at a high level in Chicago, and Tremaine Edmonds is now out for the season on injured reserve. So they have very good linebackers. That's typically the strength of their team. And they're both out.
3 of them? Or 2 of them?
Noah Sewell's out as well. He's not even that good. So good luck. They're down to the Lions levels of playing linebackers. You're going to see a bunch of backup guys who shouldn't be on the field. So if you can't get the running game going in this one, I don't know, because they don't have a dominant player up front either, with like you saw with Quinnen Williams and what he's been able to do. Their best player's Montez Sweat, but he's an edge guy. So you should be able to do some things when it comes to moving the line of scrimmage on paper. And then the turnover, that to me, it's strength versus strength. The Bears take it away. The Eagles don't turn it over. So which one happens? Which one's if the Bears don't take it away on defense, it's going to be a tough day for them.
I agree.
And that's kind of how I look at this game. But the Eagles offense, it's interesting because we were having this discussion in the media house between a number of us. Ben Johnson's on the camp of it, and he mentioned for the football nerds out there, EPA, expected points added, is sort of like the statistic. It's sort of like the WAR, sort of like the advanced statistic most people look at. And if you look at EPA, the Eagles are down 144% efficiency in the run game. They're down 37% efficiency in the pass game, which is bad enough. They're down 88% overall. In other words, the offense stinks.
Yeah.
But 144% in the running game from where they were last year.
Yeah. Down 37% is no small number either. It's just small in contrast to 144.
Exactly. No, you wouldn't be happy with 37.
Yeah.
But also the Eagles are still
Isn't that you said the passing game down that much in efficiency? Via
37.
EPA?
37. Yeah. Now they're still above water. They're still like 12th in the NFL in passing efficiency, shockingly enough. They're still their heads above water. There were only, I believe, 12 teams in the NFL that had a positive EPA in the rushing game last year as a whole. There's a bunch more in the passing game because it's easier to pass the ball. The Eagles obviously were near the top of the list, and now they're 21st. And again, they're getting a negative EPA in the running game. They're still getting a positive EPA in the passing game, just not as good. And overall, it's because of the running game. It's the running game. And if the running game, if they could figure it out to the point again, it's not going to be what it was last year. That dog's gone. I mean, that's gone. But it can't be one of the worst in the NFL, and that's what it has been at times this season, which is ridiculous.
It's crazy. It really is crazy, the level of drop off. Well, John, I mean, if you factor in today that the weather will impact both offenses to the same degree, to me that would be advantage Eagles, right? Because the Bears are a better offensive team than defensive team. The Eagles are vice versa, a better defensive team than offensive team. So if it becomes a defensive battle, where points are at a premium and the wind has an impact on offenses and throwing the football, it feels to me like that would be an advantage for the Eagles. Do you agree with that, or how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, well, the Bears are a cold weather team as well, so I don't think they're going to melt or anything in the weather, but they're used to playing in this type of stuff. But in a weird way, like as strange as it sounds, and it speaks to the Tank Bigsby people, and I think it's hilarious that people think they should bench Saquon Barkley. And I'm not saying it's a lot of people, but I've heard it from a few wingnuts. But then I look at a game like this and I say, well, would I rather have DeAndre Swift and the kid from Rutgers, who's turning into their sort of Temu, Sonic and Thunder, maybe this year, even though on paper, I'm always going to default to Saquon over good, but not great players. He's just not having a good year. And time is running out before he can turn that around. So I don't know if it's the advantage you think. Like, there's not much discussion there. Would you rather have Saquon or DeAndre Swift? And why can't I think of his name? Man, the kid from Rutgers.
Mungai or Monungai or however
Monungai. Yeah, thank you. Brain fart. Would you rather have Saquon Barkley or those two? I'd say 100% of the time I'm going to say Saquon Barkley. Is that fair to that duo this year? Probably not. I mean, they've probably been more effective. Not probably. They've definitely been more effective. So in this season, if you ignore the history and prior seasons, I mean, this season, that duo is playing better than the Eagles. So, you can't dismiss that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, And John, how much do you think this has become a little bit of I don't want to say it's a must win because it's absolutely not a must win, but the Cowboys are creeping with 3 straight wins now in that NFC East. I mean, if the hypothetical was the Eagles lost a game today, they would be 8-4 with only one less loss than the Cowboys, who I know are sitting at 6-5-1. But that tie could, interestingly enough, it could hurt them or it could help them depending on how the records fall. How close are we to must-win territory for the Eagles to get back on track here?
Well, like you said, I mean, it's definitely not a must-win, but it's not going to make them feel comfortable if they lose the game. And Dallas, I mean, to me, the loss column is always the one to look at. You're only one game ahead of the loss column, and you split. So then it'll come down to um, how poorly you play the rest of the season. Now, on paper, the schedule looks pretty easy. The Chargers, tough game looks on paper, but then you start thinking, well, they don't have their tackles. They've not been playing the same. The Raiders are just a disaster. The Commanders, you play them twice, they're a disaster. And we've talked about Buffalo a lot. December 28th at Buffalo. That's a tough game on paper, but who knows? If the Bills are playing, who knows how that shakes out. In theory, you would think they'd have to because New England's having a great season. So that's the one game you look at and say, that might be a tough one. So I still think the schedule is pretty light for the Eagles the rest of the way. But yeah, it would help if they won this game. If they lose this game, that's 2 in a row. You lose a game at home. Again, they lost earlier to Denver at home. So typically they've been lights out at home. So if you start to lose that sort of aura, that I think impacts you. So it
It
would
might
be
not be a
interesting.
must-win for the NFC East, but I feel like it might be a must-win for the NFC, considering that there's like 3
Well,
teams,
if the
three
number one
wild card teams have
seed,
like 7 and 8 wins. You know what I mean? The NFC seeding is tough.
yeah, if you're looking at just the number one seed, again, the all or nothing mentality. Yeah, it's about you always, they can't afford another loss if you're
Yeah, right.
only talking about the number one seed. But um, you know, the goal is to get to the playoffs and be playing your best in the playoffs. And as they proved last year, hey, they didn't have the number one seed, and they ended up having the number one seed because Detroit lost. So you never know.
Yep. John, let's get into the matchups in the game here. Some of the inter matchups for the players and, who lines up on who and where the game is won and lost. Many times that's the trenches. We'll get there as well. John, I'll come to you before I give you some of the matchups I have written down that I want to talk to you about. When you think about this game, Bears, Eagles, where do you see the key matchups? Like I think Ben Johnson versus Vic Fangio is obviously a key one. And then you have obviously player matchups. What matchups stick out to you, John, in this game?
Yeah, well, Ben's a good one because he's sort of the guy, the offensive guru in the
Yeah,
modern
right.
NFL, and he's going to get shut down by Vic.
Is that your prediction?
Yeah, it always happens. It's just from the standpoint of not again, it's about players first, but about putting your players in the best position to succeed. I'm pretty confident Vic's going to win that battle, but um. It'll be I think the perception is otherwise, but we'll see how that shakes out. Um, you know, I don't think I think you saw, and this is a problem with the Cowboys as well. I think that's the kind of team that can give the Eagles struggles because they can throw the football so well. I don't think Chicago's at that point from a consistency level. So I think that part of it is that part of it helps the Eagles. They can make plays, and I think there's going to be 3-4 plays in this game where your jaw drops and you say, "How did Caleb Williams do that?" But I don't think the consistency from play to play is there. Um, and there might be guys open down the field he misses, especially with the wind. Um, So I think that's going to help you out. But it's hard to get off the offense because it's just such a disaster area, and it's not helping that. Now Devontae Smith, we should have started with that. He's going to play. He's back. He's off the injury report. Saquon, obviously, they managed through the week, and he's ready to go. So the only two players they're missing are Lane Johnson, Xavier Gibson. Miles Hinton still in his practice window. By the way, the Willie Lampkin fans are disappointed. His practice window is up. They didn't activate him. He's done for the season.
Oh.
So, those are the players you're not going to have. And Lane's a big deal. I mean, Fred did not play well in Dallas. Did not play well. Cam did not play well. And he's going to play. So,
Cam, I think, was the worst game of the season in terms of grading wise last week.
Yeah, he did not play well. Now, again, he's not dealing with Quinnen Williams. You got to pay attention to the other side, which is too often ignored. And he doesn't have to deal with that this week. So that alone, I think, will help him. Fred, it's a backup player. I don't. There's this myth that is grown about Fred Johnson, like, oh, it's not a problem. You lose Lane Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Panic about it. Do whatever you have to do. It ain't the same. And it's not the same think about more than any other team, the Eagles in a given day help their tackles less than anybody else. And I mean that. 32 of 32. They're number one. They do not help their tackles. The rare exception if Mike is out there or Miles is out there. I mean, and that is an incredible luxury. So if you want to add to the Nick Sirianni's a bozo and Kevin Patullo's a bozo, add that to the list because that's big. Most teams have to deal with helping their tackles. The Eagles don't even have to deal with that typically. Now, the bozos have to deal with helping Fred Johnson on top of the fact of figuring out. Now, the good news from that perspective is the Bears don't have great pass rushers.
Yeah.
So
they don't really have a great defensive line kind of all throughout, John. They don't really have great interior players.
No,
either.
Montez Sweat's a good player, but
he's playing well.
And he's a big bat down guy. Like, he's huge. He's got the long wingspan. So you got to watch batted balls. And that might, that's a big part of turnovers. You saw it last night if you lasted to the Baltimore game. Lamar got an interception on a batted ball, just flutters in the middle of the field. You got to be careful with that. Other than that, man, that defensive front is like, ugh. That's where they need to add in the offseason. Like if they would have got Micah Parsons, imagine where they would be. But
So what is the expectation, John, for the offense then today? They've obviously struggled. You just gave out the EPA numbers, which are, pretty bad considering what they were a year ago and how well they ran the ball and the efficiency in the passing game even last year was much better than it's been this year, despite the statistical improvement from the passing game so far. What's the expectation then for the offense today with the weather, with a crappy Bears defense? They do have those two secondary players that are intercepting people left and right, Nashawn Wright and Kevin Byard. Obviously, Kevin Byard spent a little bit of time here in Philly, but they both have 5 interceptions, and the Chicago has the NFL best 24 takeaways. What is the expectation for the Eagles offense today on Black Friday?
Well, I don't think it's going to be an offensive game. I think partially the weather will, lend to that. Similar to, what happened against Green Bay, what happened against Detroit, both weather games. I think you're going to see the same thing today. Ironically, short term, I think it might hurt them because the Bears, getting Jalen Johnson back, and like everybody's like, oh, they got Jalen. Everybody in Chicago is all excited, and I always point, the guy's been out the entire season. You don't think there's going to be any rust, any ramp up period? And meanwhile, guess who's going to sit if you're playing Jalen Johnson a whole bunch? Nahshon Wright.
How much do you expect Jalen Johnson to play today? It can't be too much.
Well, I don't know. That's the point, though. You know, everybody in Chicago is excited about it. I mean, that could hurt you in the short term. Long term, it's going to help you. It's one of the best cornerbacks in football. But again, you got to have that. So where do you want to go? It's the old Jim Schwartz ramp up conversation.
I don't know. You feel like in a game where points might be a premium and turnovers might be paramount, you might want to get Nahshon Wright on the field. Is that crazy to say?
Well, that's the kind of point. It's like Saquon Tank here.
Right.
Now, Jalen Johnson is Saquon, but he's legit top 10 corner in the NFL. Legit. And you got to get him on the field. And Kyler Gordon, by the way, is one of the best slot cornerbacks in the NFL. At one point, had the highest contract. He might still. I don't know if anybody passed him.
But did the guy in Houston pass him?
Yeah, I think you're right. Petrie passed him.
Yeah.
So, but the point is, he's top rung at the position, top 5. He's played 81 snaps all season. But he's coming back, and Nick McLeod has been playing the slot. He's not very good, so less than. But Nahshon Wright isn't very good, but he's taking the football away. You know, what do you do? You know, maybe the win helps you today anyway, because I don't think the passing attack is going to be humming on for either side. If it's going to be 40-mile-an-hour winds, which is what they're predicting.
Is that what it got up to? I didn't see that high. I didn't look yesterday, but I thought.
No, well, it wasn't as windy. It's getting windy today. It's getting windier today. The wind at 10 a.m., it's not even at the level it's going to. And then 3 p.m., I think it's supposed to it's supposed to lessen a bit as the game goes on. But
okay, that's good.
But that's what they said last time, and it didn't. You know, inside the stadium's worse, I think, than outside.
Yeah, it almost makes like a wind tunnel in there. Yeah.
So because they said the same thing last time, and it never let up. So, you know, you never know with weather, but it's going to be windy. It already is windy if you're in the area, and it's going to get windier. And right now, I'm looking at it right now. It's 33 out, but it feels like 24 because of the wind.
Yeah, so it's going to be chilly. It's going to be windy. It could be another slugfest of a game. It could be another Eagle primetime stinker for the national audience. We will see. John, what do you make of the Eagles secondary today? Andrew Makuba is obviously out after he had surgery this week on a fractured ankle. Or what? Ankle, right? Not foot. It was the ankle, right?
Ankle, yeah.
Yeah, fractured ankle. They got Rome Odunze. They got DJ Moore. Those two guys have combined for 1,138 yards and 9 touchdowns this year. They've been kind of a big play offense. They got 87 plays 87 plays this season with runs of 10-plus yards or passes of 20-plus yards. So they've been pretty good in the explosive play battle, John. Something that kind of sounds like the Eagles, right? Where they win the turnover battle and they get a lot of explosive plays. It's better in the secondary than we thought. Reed Blankenship's out there. Adoree Jackson will be good to go. What do you make of that secondary and matching up versus those, Bears pass catchers today?
Yeah, the same thing. I mean, it's going to have a huge effect on the Bears as well. And Caleb isn't the most accurate quarterback in pristine conditions, so I don't think he's going to turn into Joe Montana with 40-mile-an-hour winds. So I think that's going to help. A little bit worried about blown stuff with Sydney, but I mean, if you ask Vic, Drew was blowing some coverages as well as a rookie. So it could have been much worse. I'd be more concerned if Reed wasn't out there and Adoree wasn't out there, and you had three. Because at the beginning of the week, it was looking like you might have three starters down in the secondary. Now to have one, I think is
much better than we thought.
Yeah, exactly. But the last 4 games the Bears have played, Steelers, they were home. Caleb was at 54.3%, I think. Vikings on the road, he was 50, which is brutal because that's in a controlled environment. Giants 55, Bengals 58. So not the most accurate quarterback in the world, and I don't think the wind is going to help that. Yeah, maybe it blows it to the receivers. I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe it does, John. John, we'll see what happens with that. John, we mentioned the Bears secondary in the game, and obviously their ability to get interceptions. I think they have 16 total interceptions this year, which is a big number, guys. 24 total takeaways. But you also have Jalen Hurts in the Eagles offense, who is I guess you could call him one of the stingiest offenses and quarterbacks in the league, just in the way that they protect the football. Jalen leads the NFL with a 25-3 touchdown to turnover ratio this season, which is pretty amazing. But I wonder how much of an impact that's going to be today, how much Jalen and the Eagles offense are trying to push the ball, or how much they need to push the ball. I guess that will come down to how much Saquon Barkley can run today.
Yeah, I because of that wind, I would say get the running game going, but it's hard to imagine them getting the running game going. So we're going to see where the rubber meets the road there. I can't see this being.
They're an awful run defense, man. I feel like they should be able to run the ball today.
Well, they should. They should. I mean, they should. Yeah. I mean, they should be able to run the ball. You shouldn't go from the best rushing attack, literally one of the best running attacks in NFL history,
which is crazy,
to being what they are right now. But they are. I mean, it's not good. So and you don't have Lane Johnson, and you have Cam Jurgens, who's clearly not playing at the level he's accustomed to. Same thing with Landon Dickerson. So it's been an issue, but this is a team on paper they should be able to run the football against. There's no doubt on paper. Yes, they should. But have they run the football against anybody?
I guess the Giants, right? They ran the ball well versus the Giants. Is that the only game?
I think that's the only game. Yeah. So,
well, team, I mean, this is where I think I'd like to see Jalen run the ball a little bit more. I mean, it almost feels like it's now a necessity because Saquon's not running well. The team, I think I put out the stat the other day, the team is 6-0, John, when they have over 100 rushing yards as a team. So they got to run the football, man. I mean, you got to run the football. And if Jalen's the one who's got to do it, shit, that I'm saying he should go and do it because we all certainly know he's capable. They're 5-0 when they rush for 100+ yards this year, and they're 3-3 when they don't. So they've also won a game where they haven't had great running numbers, but obviously you want to get the run game going. And I think if Jalen takes off and helps that, I think that would maybe open some things up for the offense as a whole.
Well, if it were only that simple, line it up. You got 60 offensive plays. If you run it 60 times, you're going to get over 100, but you're not going to win the game. So that to me is the classic, causation argument. So, correlation does not imply causation. And that's the point. You can't just say, well, if we run for 100 yards, we're going to win the football game. Otherwise, everybody would just do what I just said.
Yeah, right.
So that to me is more of a circumstance of the game stat. And obviously, when you're playing well and when you're going to win games, that number increases. Never increases. I've said this. You'll see the playoff teams. And somebody out there will go, all the playoff teams are in the top 10 in rushing. Every year they do it. They fall in that
I
trap.
know they do it. And John,
Um,
you've opened my eyes to some of this shit where I can't even see it anymore. I see it and I'm like, duh, because they're winning all their games.
I mean, to me, it's like the most obvious thing in the world, but you got to get over the hump.
Yeah, right.
And I get it. I mean, that's why you got to be very careful with numbers because, and that's the simplest way to describe it. Correlation can be a direct influence on something, the causation, but it doesn't necessarily imply it. And that's the case in football. Good teams have good rushing numbers because they're generally closing out games,
Right.
and that's where the tip of it tips in the other direction. So
Yeah, no doubt. John, coming into this game, offensive line, we just talked about it, obviously. Cam Jurgens hasn't really played well. Fred Johnson is Fred Johnson. Let's not act like he's Lane Johnson there or his brother. So that's a struggle. How much of it do you put on the offensive line here with this run? I know we've talked about it, kind of gotten in depth of where the problems lie and why football is never one thing and there's always nuance to problems. But how much of it do you put on the run game? And then do you expect maybe a little bit more of a switch up? Will they try and use Tank Bigsby just a little bit more? I'm not saying bench Saquon, but do you try and get him 6-7 carries a game to maybe see if he can get a spark or something like that? How do you kind of gauge that? And do you think a change in some realm could be coming?
well, I don't think a change from the standpoint because remember, I think everybody looked at last week, and that's you know they didn't run the ball at all. So Saquon only touched it, I think, ran it 10 times.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And Hank ran it once and he had a pretty effective run, has been the case. But you take Jalen out of the equation because he actually ran it 7 times. They ran the football 11 times in that game. So if you run the football 11 times, I'm surprised it wasn't for 11 for 11, to be honest with you. Now, if it starts rolling and you're effective and Saquon's going to carry it 23 times, then yeah, Tank's probably going to get 5, 6, 7, and people are going to go, see, well, again, the same conversation we had. If you're only going to run the ball 11 times, it's going to be all Saquon. No need to go to someone else. So in this game, again, with the weather and the cold and all that, it's probably going to be more of a running game. Definitely going to be more of a running game than it was indoors in Dallas. So you're going to be back up to the normal levels. So probably get a few more carries. And we'll see if he's more effective again. And if he is, that's a difficult conversation to have because I can't explain Saquon right now. I wish I could. I think they wish they could. They don't want to believe he's descending. Another passionate defensive end by Nick Sirianni on
I
whatever
think
day.
another thing there exists though too at the O line, right? Like people don't want to believe that offensive line is not that good. Jeff Stoutland has the lure that he has. They've been at the top. It's been the bread and butter of our team, John, for how many years? 10 plus, 15 years. I mean,
Long
maybe even
time.
longer. I mean, I can't remember the last time we were outside the top 10 in the offensive line rankings.
Yeah, it's been the
Maybe
strength.
2020 when they all got hurt.
Doug's last season.
Yeah.
That's probably the last time, and it was injury related. And I think it's injury related this year too. I still think they have one of the best offensive lines if they're healthy, but they're not healthy.
Yeah, the problem with the injuries this year is that I don't know how much of them are like, are you at a point with these injuries where you're just not going to get back to what they were? You know what I mean? It's not like it's an ankle and you're waiting for him to get better for Cam. Like the back injury, I'm like, I don't know if Cam will ever return to the player we thought he could be.
Yeah, I'm more concerned with Cam than Landon from the
Me too.
perspective of Landon is, because it's so much, maybe he never gets back.
His ass off, yeah.
Maybe he never gets back to what he was. 3 consecutive Pro Bowls. Shockingly, never been an All Pro. Should have been, but I don't know if he ever gets back to that level, but you can still win with Landon Dickerson at the level he's playing at. Right now you can't win with the level Cam Jurgens is playing at and Fred Johnson's playing at. So those are the two glaring weaknesses. And when Lane gets back, he'll fix the one at least, but we have to see how healthy he is again, because he's going to push back earlier than expected. Already is. And that but for the offense as a whole, I don't think it's just the offensive line, just Saquon. I see a whole bunch of descending players. That's what I see.
I know you've been saying this, but the thing I'm struggling with it is, John, is I feel like this offense where they've tried to they've almost like condensed this thing where they have this risk averse approach. They're not trying to push the ball too much. I feel like it's just taking some life out of the players in a way. I do. Now, I might be wrong. You might be right. We might be talking about players that are, A.J. Brown might have lost a step. Saquon might have lost a step. The offensive line might have, have a toll because of how they played last year. I feel like this offense does not put players in an environment to ascend.
Well, I don't see
hypothetical for you, because I'd be curious to see if and this would never happen. It's simply a hypothetical. If the Cowboys traded for A.J. Brown instead of George Pickens in the offseason, how well would A.J. Brown be doing this year?
I think he'd be doing well. But I also think he doesn't look the same as he has in the past physically, even though he's told me multiple times and other people multiple times he's fine.
Right.
I don't see the same guy. Not that it's a tremendous drop off, but when he's never been a big separation guy because of his size and his physicality. He's never been, Cooper Kupp in his prime running routes. He's a big physical guy who just beats people. And that is when you start to lose even a little bit, then it starts not looking good. Same thing with Saquon. Just out athletes everybody. Just the best athlete on the field. And you ask scouts and you ask film people and you ask, he doesn't have the best vision in the world. He doesn't have the elite vision. It's all about, well, if you block the hole, Katie bar the door, he's gone. And then when they're not there, then it's like, all right, he's got to cut it back to get 5, and he's running into a brick wall. You go, it doesn't look as good.
Right.
I'm not saying they've fallen off a cliff, but you could see the little chinks in the armor. So if you put AJ or Devontae in a high volume, I've been saying that for years, they have better numbers. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Well, that's why I'm just struggling with the thought process that A.J. Brown has lost a step. I'm not saying you're wrong, because it does look like he has in Philly, but I just don't know if it's more of this style and this approach that we've taken.
Well, the style's beating him down, so that's, maybe it is that. There's no doubt that's beating him down, but he's performed better in that same style before. Maybe it's just gotten to the point where it's beating him down further. I can't dismiss that, but for the style of
play too, John. I mean, it's hard to people. I know fans, and I get it, but they're like, A.J. Brown doesn't try every play. I'm like, dude, it's hard. You're asking a guy to play 150% every play. The ball doesn't come his way very much. So I don't know.
I went through that with Randy Moss every grade. But first of all, people don't realize, because the only time they put the ISO camera on you is when they think there's a problem. Number one, so you can go look at any NFL game. If a receiver, a big time receiver who runs all these routes, and it's even worse in other places, and they're running the football the other way or the play's going the other way, they're just going to lollygag off the line of scrimmage, and they're not involved in the play. Right. Why are you going to, and everybody makes a big deal. And, when Randy was unhappy, everybody put the ISO camera. He's lazy. He's not running out. It's the same thing. It's over and over and over and over again. So I don't pay much attention to that kind of stuff. I've never seen that with AJ. I don't think that's relevant at all, but that's what people can believe, but what they believe. But
yeah,
I do think there's some credence to, this offense beating him down. I do think that's real. And I do think if he does leave, you'll see that natural spike of playing in a more exciting offense. I do think that part of it's real.
No doubt about it. All right, John, I'm going to close up this segment and get it posted up on the channel. So I am going to do your prediction for the game today. We will start there. You can give me a couple of your key players or what you think are the key factors. But I am looking for the Johnny Mac prediction for Black Friday. Eagles Bears, the battle of 2 8-3 teams, both sitting at the top of the NFC, second and third seeds right now in the NFC.
Yeah, well, the key to me is she won't let go, man. Mother Nature's the key to me. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think, I think the Eagles are going to win the game. I don't think the Bears are ready for this. I think the Packers are going to win the NFC North. It is probably going to get if it's not a defensive touchdown, a short field for a Caleb Williams mistake. That maybe gets the Eagles over 20. So I'm going 23. Eagles 23, Bears 16.
Oh, John, you got to be kidding me, man. I got 23-16. Nice. Both of us got 23-16.
Nice. Eagles. So it's going to happen then.
There you go, man.
Play the number.
Back-to-back 23-16 pick for the Eagles. Johnny Mac's picking the Birds. I'm picking the Birds. I'm with John. You've convinced me that this Bears team is, while they are 8-3, they do have a lot of problems, and they've had 5 comeback wins. They've kind of flied by the seat of their pants a little bit. I don't know. You obviously remember. You remember Aaron Schatz, obviously, we've had on the show. He does the DVOA. Yeah. I don't know. How much stock do you put into the DVOA?
Yeah, that's another one. That's a good one.
They're way down. They're way down on DVOA for an 8-3 team, like way down.
Yeah, well, they get outgained every week. They have bad offensive numbers. Yeah, they're down on all that.
Kind of the same though. Like, aren't we this year? Just looking at 25, act like 24 didn't happen for a second. Aren't we kind of that team too? We're 8-3, but we don't look as good as we should at 8-3.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. But the difference is, obviously, they're proven. The Eagles are proven. This team has been in the trapper for years. This is new for them. The Eagles have been through the wars, and generally come out on the other side. So some of it is that, no doubt about it. Like I put up, if you asked me who are the best teams in the NFC are right now, I would tell you Rams number 1. I would tell you Packers number 2. And the Eagles beat them both. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here. Now, the Rams outplayed them, and it was a fluke, and that's part of the DVOA stuff and the EPA stuff. It's a fluke. But they beat them, right. And they always beat them. And the Packers, Micah's doing his thing. Did you see Micah yesterday for all the Micah haters? Unbelievable player. Worst thing ever that Dallas gave him to Green Bay. I said that the day of the trade.
Yeah.
They're looking dominating, but the Eagles always beat them.
It's fair.
They seem to have Jordan Love's number.
They certainly do. Jordan Love, he's a tough player to gauge, man. Sometimes I watch him and I'm like,
he was phenomenal yesterday.
Phenomenal. And sometimes you watch him and you're like, boy, what's he doing?
Well, that's the thing. He's inconsistent. Sometimes he shows up and he's He's like the pitcher with a lot of talent. He shows up and completely shuts you down, or he shows up and he has nothing, and he doesn't have the, whatever you want to call it, the grit, the fight through it, whatever. So you're kind of hoping if you get matched up with Green Bay, you're kind of hoping it's one of those days where he's not going to play well. Because if it's a day where he's going to play well, you're fucked. That team's going to go to the Super Bowl.
That's a good team. There's no doubt. Yep, John, interesting stuff. There's our score predictions.